But anyway, I mean, so my story, just very briefly for orientation.
Oh, I want to hear
it. Is kind of like the use of HighLevel really helped me with stick dramatically for the services I was providing. So because even though most of my clients are B2B,
yeah,
and we're talking small, like about a dozen clients at any one time, so a small boutique agency,
sure,
but paying me monthly for a service plus consulting. And it was generating all these leads, but where to put them, right? And then we would try and put them into HubSpot, and it was a mess. Pipedrive. Some people really like Pipedrive, but again, nothing really happened with them unless they were really on top of it. So again, when I started using HighLevel and started showing them HighLevel, and then I rebranded it, people liked it, and then I would put the leads into it, and guess what? Stick rates through the roof. Even for
awesome.
B2B clients. And I have clients now I don't do any lead gen for whatsoever. I'm just their tech integrator. They pay me consultancy every month to support their use of HighLevel with other, I mean, some of them are doing some cold outreach and some multi-channel, but others they're doing their Google ads, their Facebook. I'm not doing it. They're just coming into their HighLevel, my white label, and I'm supporting them with the follow-up campaign. So I have a real mishmash of client use cases, including pure consulting and no done for you as well. So
that's cool. So that's really, really encouraging. That's exactly what we're going for. I mean, this is the perfect story, because that's really what we want to hear. We want to help agencies get there.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, I would say it's like a version 1 of SaaS, right? Doing it the manual way, but it's really had a massive impact in Stick, which is great. But obviously version 2 is now going out to a different market. So I have a business partner who's a contractor. He has a contractor business himself. And because of lockdown, etc., he can't work. He's up in Ontario, like terrible lockdown, like disastrous long lockdown.
Because you're in Canada, right?
No, I'm in the UK.
You're in the UK. Okay.
Yeah. So we're focusing.
I was going to say, because the US, it's so funny because just see the different world perspectives. Because like our engineering teams in India, and it's just bedlam, right? And so but here in the US, COVID's like done. Like, I mean, I'm in Oregon, so we're a little more. I guess I wouldn't normally say conservative. We're actually quite liberal, but I would say when it comes to science and math and health, we're probably a little more on the conservative side. So we're still pretty, like, we're masking up everywhere and all this other stuff. But like, we have an office in Texas, and if you were in Texas right now, I think you couldn't even find a mask, except maybe a trash can someplace.
They just introduced a law; it's illegal for local.
That's right, exactly.
$1,000 fines if you try and impose mask restrictions.
Exactly right. And so while that's silly, in my opinion, it is certainly also just a consequence of the rollout of the vaccine here, right? And that, I guess, is good news for everybody, because it just shows once everybody gets it, it'll go away. But it's funny right now because you're right, lots of other places are still locked down.
Well, exactly. So that's how we got together. So we're going to focus on the contractor market and do what I'd call
which I'm super excited about. I mean, here's the thing. Okay, so here's what I know in my heart. There is not a single business in any of the developed countries, and I'd even say probably the non-developed countries, just easy, like in the UK, Australia, Canada, the United States, that shouldn't have that, like in the local business market, that shouldn't have this technology, right? And I'd even go as far as to say 5 years from now, if you are in any of those markets and you don't have this technology, you're going out of business because your competitors will adopt it. And so it's really our race, in my opinion, to see who can get that technology into the hands of the small business owner. But I think the edge goes to the marketing agency, because that small business owner is still going to say, okay, great, I like this, thank you. But as you already have experience with, people are going to say, yeah, but I need this other stuff. It could be questions, it could be Facebook ads, it could be websites, it could be lots of stuff. But what they want is this warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing I can reach out to so-and-so, even if I'm paying them, and they'll always be there for me and they can help me, versus, the software company that's selling it to me. That sales guy, like, he rings up his commission and he's out, and he no longer he doesn't take my calls. He pushes me off to the support team. The support team says, get in line, put in a ticket. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Right? Marketing agency has the edge.
Yeah, you're totally right. Because sadly, the experience using software is suboptimal often, right? So it's very, very impersonal.
You're not kidding me, right? Right. That's the well, and you know what? And I think that's for a really good reason, because as a software company, you really want to scale up, right?
Yes.
And if you think about anything that's really big in scale, I don't care what it is, the amount of customization has to come down. And therefore the amount of time someone can spend with you has to come down, right? And so, but agencies work the other way. And the nice thing is, if you have the revenue model around that, excuse me. So if you can sell the scalable thing plus the not so scalable thing, right? I think you could really get a cool combination, and you can have a really good business.
Well, 100%. So yeah, no, you totally agree. So I think there's a lot we can talk about.
Yeah, sorry.
This time. So two things that from my experience, I mean, I've done over 50 consults, like one-on-one paid consults with majority are agency owners.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are interested in starting agencies. There's this big movement on Twitter where young kids, like some of the 16, 17, 18 that are starting agencies. There's people in their 20s, and there's some people coming out of corporate life, but they are by far the exception. Like, so the agency few young, and they're all, and there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of momentum in the space, and so people are looking for tools, technologies to be able to offer services like cold outreach, et cetera, et cetera.
Totally.
And one of the things that they don't have, though, again, well, so you have a lot of these immature young startup agencies, and they may generate some cash quickly, and that's great. But as they mature, they realize that they need the tool set, and they need retention. And as you well know, right? So retention is the elephant in the room when it comes to the whole industry of the agency world. Nobody talks about it, yet it has more impact than anything else. And as you know, all the research shows 3 months is a typical life span of an agency client, and that's just not enough to sustain a successful, healthy business, which is why there's so much boom and bust in the agency business, so many going out of business. So people are discovering that they need tools to help them with longevity, to keep clients longer, and also to deliver more efficient results for their clients too.
Absolutely.
So there's kind of, so the majority of the people that are getting to know about HighLevel through me are people that are interested in doing, for example, multi-channel outreach. So doing a combination of cold email outreach, some LinkedIn, maybe some phone, but they need a system, a toolkit that can actually integrate those outreach methodologies. So they're not looking at selling SaaS out the gate. They don't know what they don't know at this
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. We see this too, by the way. I mean, we see SaaS as the play for the established agency who already is down the road on selling marketing services, right? And we see it as an add-on to what's already being done, right? And so the way we see ourselves going out in the world, we're still going to talk about being the all-in-one agency toolkit. And our thing is to just add more and more features that help agencies do things like cold outreach, for example, right? So like the day LinkedIn lets us into the stupid messaging API, we'll be adding that as a channel, right? And so, I mean, that to us is still the way you get into HighLevel, and then we educate you up into the SaaS model later.
Right. So there's two different worlds though, because we are seeing this transition, aren't we? So I call it, the SaaS version 1, SaaS version 2. So SaaS version 1 is the downsell or the cross sell to existing agency clients that you have. That the primary thing you sell them is the agency service. The software is an add-on or a downsell, in case that they want to leave. However, there is this version 2 where people are just going out the gate selling SaaS.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. It's there. It's possible, absolutely. But you know what it's going to take? It's going to take a guy like you to lead me across the pond, right? Like I need to know what I don't know, like you said. And I think that when people, it's funny because I think the biggest issue is when people hear about it, they kind of think, I don't get it. What's the catch? Like, where's the 8-week course? Where's the super in-depth learning and understanding? Like, how is it possible that this is so easy, right? And I think that's where, and in fact, that's actually why agencies don't get into this position to begin with. But I think once you I almost think you have to like make it into something bigger to make it into something smaller. It's like, it's like helping those people understand, like, yeah, you can sell all these other things, but just start here because it's simple. You get the easy yes, right? And then, like you said, if I'm a young kid or something running around, it's just like, I get the yes all over the place. I'm going to build up this recurring revenue. And whether I choose to ever go into agency services or not, I don't have to. I could keep selling SaaS until I'm blue in the face, and go look at a Podium. It has not hurt them. I mean, the only reason they've raised money is to accelerate their sales cycle. They are saying, hey, we want $200 million so we can run out and hire a big bunch of salespeople to call around. But the model itself, I mean, it's funny. I can show you the stats. It's $1,200 out to get the client, it's $12,000 back. So, it's like, if you said that to anybody, like, here's the deal. I want you to hand me $1,200 and the second I'm going to hand you back 12 grand. Sound good? Like, everyone's taking that deal, right? And they'll just keep doing that all day long. And that's what Podium's doing. And they're just using outside money to do it. But if you've got some energy, if you've got some time and you're willing to go out there and make it happen, you could create that same model, I think, for yourself for a lot less money than they're doing.
Well, there's a couple of things I'd say. So I'm an early Infusionsoft user. So I bought Infusionsoft 2008 and then used it in all of our businesses since then. So we were happily paying Infusionsoft $300 a month for years. Now, again, I know that their customer life cycle was measured in years. It was about 5 years.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
So again, this is people paying $300 a month on average every month for 5 years. And would never leave because it's just an integral part of their business. And so HighLevel is the first opportunity I've seen that really is cost effective for an agency owner or a consultant to be able to offer your own version of a tool that does pretty much the same thing and a lot more, but without having to pay massive fees on a per seat basis for every single client that you bring on.
It's a difference between it's shifting the model to the agency. So if you look at all these other places, I just looked it up, by the way, the Infusionsoft has an average lifetime of 50 months and an average monthly ARPU of $222. So that gives you an $11,000 lifetime value. But if you look at an Infusionsoft or anybody else, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, if you're an agency, you're a sales channel, like you're a place to get customers. And they're saying, look, our customer is your customer. We share them together. Versus, I think in our model, we're saying, no. we do not want your customer ever. You're our customer. We want to just serve you and stop. And we're not greedy. We're not going to try to jump you and grab your money from your customer's pocket. And honestly, what it really comes down to, I find, is, you sell in my software for me. Thanks. Now, oh, you got fired. Oh, so bad. Sorry to hear that. But anyways, we'll be keeping that customer now, right? That to me is like how we've changed the game more than anything else.
100%. So, and again, people don't know that this model exists because it hasn't existed ever before.
Yeah.
So even before we get to SaaS, people need to understand that this model exists.
Totally.
Where they can have unlimited clients for a fixed monthly amount.
Yes.
Right. So the scalability of that. So the first thing I was going to say was that CRMs have been integral to my business for 13, 14 years, and now HighLevel is a better version of Infusionsoft as far as I'm concerned. Right? It really is, and so I can resell it profitably. So to be able to offer that to clients is just amazing, and it hasn't existed before. The second thing, though, is that people don't really understand how the law of compound economics. So here was the title for this discussion that I was going to use, may still use: how to scale your digital agency with 90% profit margins and only 4% churn rate.
Yeah.
So people don't know that they don't understand the power. First of all, 90% profit margins and then 4% churn rate. So small amounts compounded over time.
I would even argue. I would even argue you could see half that churn rate, because if you look at Podium has 2% and Thryv has 2.4, and Thryv's the best example because they're a bunch of yellow page salespeople. So if they can do it, what is a digital agency going to do? But yes, I agree with that. I mean, I think there's I can't remember. I don't know if this is. Where I think if it's Greek mythology or whatever, but it's it's like where this guy goes out and he does something amazing for the king, and the king says, "Oh, thank you so much. Name your reward. Whatever you want." And he said, just take a chessboard and give me one grain of rice, and then just double it for each remaining square or whatever. And then the king at first thinks like, oh yeah, your wish is granted. But by the time you get down to the bottom of the chessboard, it's more grain that's in the entire world. I think the guy loses his head after that because of kind of doing that. But as a result, it's the power of compounding. No one really understands that. In fact, I was just starting out a book called The Psychology of Money. And they were going over this just example of this guy. I'm going to go find him. He's on the wiki. But basically, he was like a janitor for a really long time, and like the year he died, he's like 94 years old, and he had like 8 million in overall net worth. And people were just shocked that some dude had been a janitor his whole life could have 8 million in net worth. And what it was is just the power of compounding. He had saved small amounts over his lifetime and simply put them into like the S&P 500. And over a lifetime, it just compounds to the point where there's an amazing amount of money there. And I think on the agency side, you're not going to have to wait till you're 94 to get there, right? But it's the fact that every time you add a customer, you're not adding 300 a month. Right. In fact, I was looking at Podium's numbers just now. Their lifetime value is higher than Infusionsoft. It's $15,000. So every time you add a customer, think 15,000, 15,000, 15,000. Right. It just doesn't all show up on the same day. It shows up over time, and it's amazing. And that's the whole idea. It just compounds on itself.
So that's the thing. So everybody's attracted to the big high ticket agency fees, $2,500 a month services.
Right. Oh wow!
But they don't see the cliff that get fall off after 90 days, right? When they're gone. Yes.
Right? Exactly. You're totally right.
So there's a job to do to explain the power of that economics. But once people are starting to see it, and then as you made very clear, you can have your cake and eat it, right? You can have the compounded revenue, but you can also have the high ticket compounded as much as you want. So totally. It's not like it's an either one or the other. Right?
I totally agree. And if you think about a lot of the people who are getting these spaces, they also tend to be like they're looking for side gigs, right? So imagine tomorrow you make a sale in the traditional agency model, and now there's a lot of work there that you've just asked for, right? Business manager and creatives and running ads and all this stuff. And then the deliverable day to day are supposedly all these leads coming in. And so now if I'm paying you a lot of money, I'm a business owner and I'm calling you and you're like, I don't know, at work, it's going to be kind of hard for like, it's like, like, where are you and help me? And, I'm paying you a lot of money and where are you? Versus this is very much the kind of thing where you can turn it on and you can set it and forget it. And if people do have questions, right, there's lots of options there. You can have ticketing systems, you can have a done for you support options. There's all this sort of part where on an ongoing basis, you don't actually have to be at the beck and call of that person. And because they're paying you $297 a month or whatever you charge, but they're not paying you $3,000, there's a totally different expectation there. And again, it's software, it's a tool you're selling them. Right. And you're helping them getting it going. You're helping them create that value. But ongoing, they know that they're expected to be part of that versus you out over here doing something magical for a lot of money that they can't see.
Yeah, 100%. And I had a question on this. So I did do a quick outreach to see who had questions. And there's a lot of confusion just about the fact that how do you charge for SaaS separate from the agency service? Like people struggle to kind of get.
I saw that on Twitter. I saw that tweet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So and so basically you can have a one line item, which is your marketing services, your lead generation services, your advertising services, and then another one, which is the software that you provide as well. But the key is to separately brand the two.
I agree.
And so that, again, that's what I've done in my agency, and people. So the reality is, what I was doing before was just giving all that money over to HubSpot, over to Pipedrive, over to you name it, Zoho.
Yes.
They were getting all the money. So rather than give all the money to them, keep the money for you.
Yes, it's just that easy. Exactly.
And as far as your clients are concerned, it's just another software. They don't particularly care that you own it or who owns it.
Totally agree with that. In fact, Thryv is, I'm sorry, I love the Thryv example to my toes, because not only I think of the average Yellow Page salesperson is not the most adept digital native, but I also think, but then you look at the model, they're not even selling their own product. They're selling a white label version of Vcita out to the small businesses they serve. So it's just if anything is not going to work, that's like, if someone told that story, what we should do, we should take all the Yellow Page companies and combine them all together. And then let's have these people who have been selling Yellow Pages for 30 years. Let's go take some other software we find out there, slap our logo and have them sell it, and let's make it really successful. It just sounds like the start of a horrible outcome, right? And yet, if you play it through, the numbers are beautiful for them. 44,000 clients, 150 million in revenue, 2.4% churn rate. Their ARPU is going up. They're $304 in ARPU every month. It's like, oh my gosh, so if they could do it, just imagine what the agency can do. And then I always talk to agency owners and I'm like, look, it's a value ladder approach here, folks. You're selling the same end result. You're saying, look, would you want more leads? Do you want, more 5-star reviews? Do you want a higher ranking on Google? It's the same stuff you're already selling. because you're selling the solution, the outcome. And now, right now, normally you're like, okay, that'll be $3,000 a month. And they're like, oh my God, sorry, eject. You're just saying, okay, great. Well, we always get you started for $300 a month on our amazing platform that helps you do X. And then you put that in place. And we're talking like I can show you strategies that'll work in the first week. You put it in the first week, and then you immediately go for the database reactivation. You send out an offer to their customer list that they haven't talked to in the last 6 months. You blow the doors off of the thing, putting all those leads in there. And then at the end of the first week, you go right back to them and you say, would you like more? And at that point, just imagine what you've done. You've proven yourself. So first you got the yes. So you got the opportunity to serve. You proved yourself, and now they can trust you. And so immediately, even off that first week, if you're dying to do it, you can sell the agency services right there, because now they can trust you. If you say you can give them more, well, gosh, they know who you are. You've delivered. Why wouldn't they say yes? Right?
100%. And I've experienced that personally. I mean, I've worked with gyms for a period of time and did database reactivation for them. And the results were just amazing in terms of getting walk-ins, booked appointments, which again, they were converting into memberships, etc. And it is instant. I think I signed up one guy on the Monday, had his campaign set up and live on Monday. And he had his first walk-in client on Monday, on the same day. There's not many other services you can onboard and operationally go live and get a result for in one day.
Absolutely,
it was insane. So let's just walk back a bit, because obviously not everybody knows all the references that we've
that's
mentioned here.
True.
So let's talk about Thryv. So Thryv, they're a small company, right?
Exactly. Right.
Give us the numbers.
Thryv is actually every Yellow Page company combined together, and they're publicly traded. They were actually formed through a SPAC, but we can get into that another time. But ultimately, it's like DAX and YP and all this other stuff. But they're a $1.3 billion publicly traded company. And what happened, right, is so they've got this massive cash cow of a business that is like absolutely going to slam into the ground and be destroyed, called the Yellow Pages. So the story goes that they kind of all knew this was going to happen. So they first decided to sell Google AdWords. Aha, agency services, right? But guess what? The churn was ridiculous. It was just the worst churn in the world. So then someone, and I don't know, I'd love to get the backstory on this, but someone said, you know what? Why don't we sell software? So instead of going out and taking loads of cash, which they have, and going out and spending it on developing their own software, they said, no. We'll go white label this Vcita thing and we'll go sell that. And it's worked so well that this is all they're doing now. This is their mainstay. They just bought the Yellow Pages of Australia. And the CEO is like, yeah, we did that just so we could go do the same play in Australia that we're doing here. It's just that easy. It's just like, duh. And so ultimately in the future, they know that they're going to be actually smaller than they are today. They know that instead of being a $1 billion company in the next 5 years, they'll probably come down to a $500 million company. But they think that looking at their profit margins, they're going to make more money in 5 years than they make today, because that SaaS product is so sticky. And once they've sold it into an account, the account never leaves. Right?
And it's just, there are lots of myths about SaaS. One of them is white label SaaS being a kind of a poor man's version of a SaaS, something that you're very dependent on the provider. It's not a real business. There's no valuation to the business because you don't own the IP. Can we just destroy that myth?
Absolutely. So first of all, let's just talk about the fact that we've already had people exit off of being built on top of, and that's a very important piece, on top of HighLevel. And if you think outside of HighLevel, just think about someone like, I don't know, Salesforce. Lots and lots and lots of people have built businesses and exited for hundreds of millions of dollars as being an add-on, quote unquote, to Salesforce, right? And really, if you, and I've been through this, I have the plus and the minus of having talked to a lot of VCs, a lot of private equity folks, and a lot of investment bankers. We're bootstrapped ourselves, but we get a lot of calls from these folks, and I love to take them because it's good to learn. They don't care about anything other than what is the revenue model, how many customers do you have, what's your churn rate, and then when it comes down to buyer due diligence, the buyer is going to say, who do you use as your vendors? And you're going to give a list, and HighLevel would be one of them. And all they care about is, do you have the capacity to continue on the way you are on today if I buy you? And so long as the answer is yes, they're like, sweet, thanks, rock on, here's your check. And that's exactly how it works. So it is fictitious at every level to believe that somehow this is like a poor man's SaaS. No one, the people who have made hundreds of millions of dollars off of their Salesforce add-ons, none of them are crying about that at all. They're all just sitting on a beach somewhere, very happy that they didn't try to recreate Salesforce before they got started.
And I know people personally that have spent tens of thousands of dollars and into the six figures trying to build their own software from the ground up. And it's been an unmitigated disaster for virtually every single person I know that's tried to do that. Now,
absolutely, because it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard, it's expensive, right? It takes a long time and a lot of resources, right?
And if you think about most venture-backed SaaS companies, I think the reason they have to raise so much capital is because what they're trying to do is recreate two things that are sort of polar opposites that take really disparate skill sets and put them into the same place. You need top-notch engineering and a real product stack. And if you've ever created one of these things, it is just miles of detail that the average person doesn't understand and wouldn't ever want to know about anyways, just to keep the thing running every day, scaling every day, all of that stuff. So you've got that skill set. But then even if you had that, it doesn't sell itself, right? It's like if you had a time machine in your garage and no one knew about it, but if you couldn't personally use it, it really wouldn't mean anything, right? And so you need the sales and the marketing aspects in order to bring that together. And what most people have to do is raise tremendous amounts of capital to make that happen. With HighLevel, what we're saying is, look, we're good engineers. That's what we do. That's what we love. So we'll stay over here and work on the platform for you. We aren't the sales and marketing folks, though. That's you. And so we create this revenue model where you're able to have this really awesome revenue stream by doing what you're good at. And then you can depend on us over here to do what we're good at. And we're really partnering up here really quite directly.
That's awesome. So I want to circle back on an example of that, how so there's a whole bunch of functionality in HighLevel. And this is another an issue because people want to sell every single feature that HighLevel has. We could spend the rest of this call and a lot longer just talking about the stuff you guys do. And so tell me about the local HVAC guy. Local you. Can you tell me that story?
Is this going out on video?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you
want to share your screen, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say let's look at the screen here. So this is the Podium data. But okay, when I first came to the town I live in today, I had an HVAC guy come to my house, and he did an awesome job. And I looked him up on Google because I know to do that. And the guy had 12 reviews. And I listened to his story. It was amazing because I was like, how did you get started? He's like, 2008 came, it's a big collapse and all this. And I went door to door and I started my company. I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. And, he came back and he went above and beyond. And I was so amazed. And I said, well, why is it that you only have 12 reviews on Google? And he's like, well, because I don't really know what the heck I'm doing. And I said, well, what if I had a piece of software that every time you went out and you did a job, you could get a review request sent out and you would get more reviews. And he's like, sweet. He's like, how much? And I'm like, $300 a month. And he's like, sold. So literally I hooked it up. And so that every time he goes out on a job, and in his case, it's QuickBooks Online, he just cuts an invoice in QuickBooks Online. We just shoot out a text. There's no gating. There's no craziness here. It's literally like, hi, it's Drew from Alpine. Really appreciate our opportunity to come out and serve you. Love to get a review and get some feedback. Here's a link that makes it easy. Link them out to the Google page, pops the review box, and bam, 3.5 years later, almost 400 4.9 stars for reviews. When I met the guy, he had 2 trucks. Last I checked, he has 13. I only know this because I've driven by his lot. He never calls me. He never asks for anything, and he just pays every month without fail. And it's phenomenal for this one silly thing. This is the only single location business we've ever sold to, but it's just shows the point. And he's doing so well, and I'm so happy for him because he was such an amazing provider. But the visibility here was what was missing. And let me tell you, he has some big competition in town from some really good multinationals or some nationals that have marketing departments like Priority One here, who not only pays for ads, but also has 844 reviews because they've had reputation management in place for many years prior to this. But this is just a franchise. These people don't care nearly as much about their work as this guy does. And so, but this one service he's willing to pay, and he will pay for 10 years. I'll never hear from this guy because he's really happy with the outcome. It's amazing. And it's all automatic. Don't ever do any work.
So this is just the fact. You didn't have to send him landing pages, websites. You didn't have to sell him pipeline CRM tools.
No.
He didn't want any.
He doesn't even have to log in. I mean, he does, thankfully, to respond to the reviews, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But really, the vast majority of the value for him is all automatic. And the thing that I want people to understand, like the Podium example is a great one. If you look at these folks, right? So first, let's just talk about the money, right? So the money is these folks, $100 million, okay? Lots of money, lots of cash coming in, doing great. They have, look at this growth rate. Woo, wow, it's amazing. It's $100 million. Look, $15,000 lifetime value, very low churn rates. But what is it that they do for all of this money that they make? It's reputation management, two-way text messaging, web chat, and Google My Business messaging. And that's it. They stop. And they say, oh, we got feedback and da 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 da. If you ever get on the phone call with any of the salespeople, they'll be like, oh yeah, nobody uses that. What they really want, because ultimately, what do people really want? They really want more 5-star reviews, a higher rank on Google, and more customers right there. And I can give anybody that with literally the reputation management and the web chat and the Google My Business messaging. So like Visionary Law Group here, who's a customer of one of the agencies we serve, they put the web chat widget on the website. They have the reviews here. And if you go to Google and you search Visionary Law Group, which I can't really spell very well, as you can see, what you're going to see is they have really amazing reviews. And remember, this is a law firm. So this is a place where, they could provide you a service that was as good a service as is possible to provide you, and you could still be unhappy with the result, because that's unfortunately how law works. Mm-hmm. And yet, five-star reviews actually are higher rated than the HVAC guy, and they've got 76 reviews in a very short period of time, and I think that's phenomenal. And then the other big thing is, look at this chat. They have the chat widget here, Google My Business messaging. I think this is going to take over the world when it comes to local businesses here. You'll be able to start messaging businesses right off of Google. It's going to be a huge, huge change.
Yeah, and I'd like you to talk about that. So I just want to be clear. Any one of these little micro services could be its own SaaS. And then if you took that SaaS and you niched it to an industry, you've now got a micro SaaS that's it's very easy for someone to understand what you do, very appealing, low cost, easy to say yes to. And you could have multiples of these if you wanted to, right?
Absolutely.
But so the thing you don't want to do is to try and sell everything.
Don't sell everything.
It's a job lot.
Yeah, literally. Let's just go back to, I put it on one hand, right? So two-way text messaging, Google My Business messaging, web chat, and reputation management. Just stop right there. Like if you do those 4 features, you can sell that to almost any local business in any place, anytime. And don't sell them the features, by the way. I talked about the features because I think it's good to know, and I'm an engineer and I tend to be all about features, but you're selling, hey, would you like more 5-star reviews on Google? Would you like a higher ranking on Google? Now, where's that come from? Well, guess what? I hate to break it to you. Google ranks on reviews. They're going to put you higher if you have more reviews and those review scores are higher. So awesome. Would you like a higher Google ranking? Well, of course I would. Would you like free leads coming off your website every single day? Absolutely, I would. Okay, great. That's the web chat widget and the Google My Business chat, all of which are incredibly simple to turn on and get operating. And right there, I'll tell you, you will keep a customer for life.
So let's talk a little bit more about chat and specific to Google, because you've shared with us just how important this is for Google's strategy. Can you talk a little bit about what plans they've got in their roadmap for messaging?
Totally. So here's the thing. Let's all think about Google real quick. How does Google work today? I go to Google, I search, I find the thing I'm looking for potentially. I might even do some research, but when I'm done, and let's go look at an example of this. When I search HVAC, I'm coming to Google on my phone to do what? Look at the options. Oh, okay. I'm looking. But at some point, I'm leaving. I am going to either click to call, or I'm going to click on an actual listing, and I'm going to go to their website. Ta-da! I'm out. Bye-bye. Google is changing this message. They no longer want you to come to Google, search and leave. They want you to come to Google, search and stay. And what they mean by this and what they're doing here is see how this says call, 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 call? This is going to change into message. And I promise you, when they do that, you are going to see a whole different world pop up because every consumer is now going to message. And when they do, those small businesses are going to get just hit hard with brand new leads. And it's the agency who has the ability to really help capture these because we're in the beta with Google and these will all go into HighLevel right now today if they get a message. And it's awesome for the business because it's new leads, but it's even better for the agency because it makes the sale easy. And this will really be a revolution. I believe truly by the end of the year, everyone will know about this. The businesses that turn it on first will, and it's like a gold rush. They're going to get the most leads. They're going to get the most business. And Google's going to expand this. So it starts with messaging on mobile. It goes to messaging on desktop. They're adding booking. They're adding scheduling. They're adding payments. And they even already have an ads pilot running. So for the people who are running Google ads, you can actually write it up here. You can have the call to action instead of being like whatever these are. You can have it say, click here to chat with us. The consumer of today is a messaging consumer. This will only continue to grow. So this is a big opportunity for agencies to cash in and get this solution out to their clients.
So we just have to stop and think. If Google thinks this is betting on this big, and of course nobody really knows this, so you have insights into
it's not obvious
right?
yet.
So we're at the ground floor opportunity to get in, but there's going to be the whole world stampeding once they realize the directions Google's going in. And this is Google's version of Facebook Messenger. Correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
And how important has Facebook Messenger been for Facebook?
Revolutionary. They bought, but what they bought Instagram over it too, right? It was like they bought WhatsApp over it. Like they would buy this if they could, right? Like they understand and reaching out to a business is just paramount. And if you think about, Amazon owns products, Facebook owns social media, but Google owns local search. And that is not going to change anytime soon. And I think that this is where they stand us to hold this ground. They do really well at search. They're the best at it. They have more data than anybody, and this only compounds that effect. And so as a result, there's just no way that if you're an HVAC company or a plumber or a lawyer or a dentist or whatever, that you're going to escape this pull. More and more people are going to come here. And as they do, they're going to look for ways to easily connect with businesses. And messaging is just the most obvious channel.
So let's be clear. So we have tools. You have tools in HighLevel to take advantage of this technology that exists right now, plus also what's trending. That's going to become massively influential in the future.
Yes.
And we have the ability to become integrators, partners with our clients to help them take advantage of this technology.
Well, and here's what's naturally going to flow from this. So tomorrow, let's say we wake up, every business has this turned on. Exactly what happens today that none of us have visibility into, but I know this from the fact that I started an answering service out of college, is simple. Businesses every single day, and not at night, not in the wee hours of the morning, but right smack in the middle of the day, are missing calls left and right. And what's happening there is they just don't really have visibility there. But messaging is going to move the problem from their phone systems into their messaging system, in this case into HighLevel. But here's where the agency already has that answer. So inside HighLevel, we have tons of automation products and we have automation capabilities to not only just automatically respond to those leads, but also to do things like automatically book those leads into appointments. So what every company, and I'm going to jump into HighLevel if you haven't seen it, every company wants is they don't want just some place where you can go in. The conversations tab's awesome if you're there and you're present and you're actually talking to people. But what they want is somebody to actually help them take those leads and turn them into actual booked appointments. And that's what HighLevel also has. We have AI and machine learning. So when someone writes into that HVAC company and says, hey, I really would like to get a quote on this, or I'd really like to have somebody come out and give me an estimate on that, we can say, great, no problem. Here's a link to our calendar, grab a time that works for you. And now you are doing more than just driving messages into an inbox. You are driving booked appointments onto a calendar, and no business on the planet isn't going to love you for that.
So as an add-on service, rather than traditional retainer model, you could be moving, and many are now, to the pay per appointment, even beyond the pay per lead, because businesses are sick of paying for leads when when they've been let down in the past, but appointments
That's right.
and appointments that show up, pay per showed appointments, whole new category that's doing massively well right now. Correct?
Yes, and for those of you who are wanting to get into this, not only do we have all kinds of really good appointment reporting, we also have the ability to automate that process. So if someone said to me today, hey, I want to get into the pay-per-show model, I want to get into or even the pay-per-book model, basically, I want to be able to charge someone when an appointment is booked or an appointment shows, no problem, totally automatable. We have a strike charge you can run automatically through the system when someone books an appointment or when somebody shows for an appointment. And let's say you don't even want someone to log in here. We have it so that, think about the following scenario. Person comes in, appointment gets booked, appointment either shows or no shows. What happens after the appointment? We automatically send an email to the client. In the email, it says, hey, I'm following up on the appointment with John. What happened? 3 links in the email. John showed, John no showed, or John rescheduled or canceled. All they have to do is click the link. Based on what they do, you can automate everything after that. So John showed, click. Thanks a lot, thumbs up, boom, we just charged you, awesome, done. But John no-showed, no problem. We'll put him on an automatic no-show follow-up campaign to get him to rebook. John canceled, no problem, same thing, right? So you're able to automate all of that and create your no-show or your appointment booked pay-per-show model without having to do anything crazy and have the client do anything manually. You can automate that whole process.
So I want to be clear. So you can charge traditional retainer services just as you've always done. No problem. Nobody's saying you can't do that. But in addition to that, or as separately as a line item, you can charge access to your clients, give them to this tool, which will become the glue that they will stick with you, with your agency over time, because it's a low cost. And even if they don't need the marketing services because it's December and they want to shut off their ads for whatever reason, right? Yes. That's fine. At least they're still paying you. I've had this happen to me with clients, and it's fine. We'll take a pause in December, but we'll still pay for the software. Then we'll start back in January again with more marketing services. So you can keep the client active during that time, so they never cancel. You're always collecting something from them, and you can actually innovate. You can actually define new revenue models that are ultra performance based.
And there's so many ways you can cut it, right? So like if I was faced with that, for example, I would say, oh, you know what? Let's just be fair to you. You say you always have a low December. Well, we'll just go out of the retainer model for December, and we'll go into the pay-per-show model just for December. How's that sound, right? And then and I have a guy. He always leads with the pay-per-show because he knows that the pay-per-show is way more expensive than the retainer. So what he'll do is he'll run the pay-per-show for the first month, and then he'll drop this massive bill on their desk at the end, and the eyes go wide as saucers, and he knows that the reality is they what started off as an easy yes because it sounded exciting just ended up this massive bill. So right in that moment, he's like, you know what? This is a lot of money. I understand. Tell you what, why don't we, if you're willing to switch to a retainer model with a 6-month contract, I'll actually just cut this bill in half. Beautiful. And boom, he gets everybody to say yes to that deal. So there's so many ways you can use this to go out and create these different pricing models where you're never going to get let go. And worst case scenario, like you said, someone says, look, I don't care what the pricing model is. I'm cutting it off all the services. You're like, no problem. We'll just keep that platform going. And they do. They're going to continue to pay you for the software forevermore.
Because they're not going to learn how to use this themselves. It's another myth. Oh, they'll learn how to use it themselves. They don't need me anymore.
Please. Yeah, good luck. They're right.
I mean, the software's great.
And this is the point.
There is a learning curve.
This is the point. When you see this left menu, don't get scared, because we're not going to give all this to your customer, right? We're going to try to do. We're going to actually try to keep them to one screen. We're going to try to keep them right here because that's all we want them to see. And then all these other tools are for you, right? As the agency, you're going to be in here doing the workflows. You're going to be in here building the funnels, right? We're not going to be the ones telling, you're not going to tell the client, like, go out and make those things happen. Those are going to be for you. So if it's campaigns, if it's whatever, it's all going to be something you build behind the scenes that are working for your client. And all your client really needs to do is be back over here in conversations, just monitoring this and getting back to people. Or even better yet, being on the mobile app and actually just getting back to people on the mobile app. So that way, if they're not at their desk because they're in an industry where they're moving around, And obviously we have this on both Android and iOS.
And I just want to be clear that once you've got to the stage of you have the right number of clients, I mean, you can create your own white label.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
sorry, let's not miss that. That's what I say. Hold on, Law Hustle. Here we are. Boom. So yeah, so when you're ready and you want your name on the iPhone app and the Android app, here you go. We've got you covered. So now think about it as an agency. Not only, and by the way, let's be fair to Law Hustle here. Their login page is phenomenal. So imagine they're working with attorneys, they're selling the attorneys the software. Well, look, that's the login screen the attorneys see. Isn't that beautiful? And when the attorney says, yeah, but I'm at court today, you're like, no problem. Just download the Law Hustle mobile app and you'll be good to go. So you can respond to people between court sessions today. No worries.
So this is the point. So nobody would have even the faintest idea that HighLevel is underneath this technology.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I will say Law Hustle's login screen is way better than my own. Mine is way uglier. So I love that because it just shows how customizable it can be. As an agency, you can make it look and feel and be different in so many ways and really customize it to your brand. And if you look at their website, it matches their branding to a T. They're all about these really all this iconography and stuff. See, there you go. There's their little guy, and they've got all of the stuff that matches. And see their product all the way through, and it's perfect for them. And they just crush it.
Awesome. And thanks for sharing, Shaun. That's a great example.
No worries. No worries.
So I think wrapping up here, I think what we tried to explain to people is just how much of an opportunity there is to grow additional revenue streams, to increase the stick rate beyond everything that they've ever seen before, to decrease churn, and also to open up new revenue streams that today doesn't exist, and increase their branding at the same time, build an asset that they could exit for a significant valuation, because
and generally to talk about valuation specifically, if you've ever tried to sell an agency, you're looking at a 2 to 3 times ARR or revenue multiple, and with SaaS you're looking at a 10 times revenue multiple. And if you think about the reason why, it's because when you try to sell a service business, it's very much about, well, how many people do you have, and oh wait, it's a lot, and if this person isn't at work today, like the accounts will quit, and there's a lot of lumpiness. Accounts come in, accounts come out. Versus a SaaS business, it's very much that revenue continues to go up and up and up and up. And if anybody gets hit by a bus today, ultimately it's terrible and it's tragic on the human side, but on the business side, the business continues to just roll over, and that revenue continues to tick in. So if you're trying to value that as an investor or a buyer, it's much easier to understand that business model. And you can see that it has a much higher profit margin because you don't need so many people to run it.
So there's a huge opportunity here for people in the agency space, in the marketing space. So Shaun, thanks so much for sharing everything about HighLevel today.
This is exciting. I think we're at the very beginning of a huge revolution, and I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I couldn't agree more. It's not my software, but you can tell I'm just as excited as you are about the opportunity for people. And this is why I've been evangelizing about HighLevel and will continue to do so. And it's right at the center of my future business plans with my business partners. So
that's awesome.
I want to thank you, Shaun, for everything you do.
Thank you for having me.
I also want to say, guys, that you won't meet a nicer guy than Shaun. I'll just put you on the spot and say that Shaun is like this even when he's not being interviewed, right? So in the Facebook group, the support is fantastic. And I think, again, it's an important factor, because for many software companies, the support just doesn't live up to, even when they've got a great product, the support is not often there. And that is
absolutely
critical.
Well, and we have a community. The other big thing I think that we often forget is most of the people in the Facebook group are not, support questions. These are other marketers who are in the midst of growing their business. And some of them are way bigger than you, and some of them are way smaller than you. And there's a lot to learn, and people are willing to share. So you're really getting into this collegiate community at the same time as a product. So I think it's a totally cool thing to watch and be a part of.
And there's at least 2 or 3 other guys I could mention who have generated add-on services, complementary services, and they've become now integral to what I do. So the community, as you said, is fantastic. So yeah, we'll wrap up here because we could carry on talking for a lot longer. So Shaun, I want to thank you once again for taking time.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and obviously look forward to seeing some of the exciting plans for the year ahead.
We're going to have a good, heck, this week's going to be exciting. We should see text to pay this week. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I cannot wait. I'll just wrap up on that. My business partner showed that to his accountant. Their jaws hit the floor. They said that's an absolute no-brainer. So we haven't even talked about that. But again, I would add that on to the big four.
I know. Well, this is good. This is a cliffhanger. You'll have to sign up to see it.
Exactly. All right, Shaun. Thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Bye for now.